If you watched my What Sold video from last week, you know that it was a rough week of sales. This week should have kind of been along the same vein, except for one saving grace, and I will get into that now. Hi everyone, my name is Becky Park. I'm a part-time reseller on a variety of reselling platforms. I call myself part-time because I actually am a high school choir teacher. That's what I do as my full-time job, and it is a full-time job. Like, I obviously am at work 40 plus hours a week, but also I have rehearsals before school every day. I have rehearsals after school. I have performances, and I have just like a billion things that we're preparing for now and we're preparing for. And that full-time job has really been kicking my part-time side hustle's butt. So it's been kind of hard, which is why my sales have been tough, but I was able to do something in this week of sales that we're going to talk about today that really did help me at least double the amount that I earned in net profit this week compared to last week. It is still an older video in that we are very behind on our What Sold videos. We are going to be talking about the week of September 11th through the 17th. We're going to get through these and get caught up. So if you're here watching, thank you. I appreciate you. And if you're like, listen, I don't want to see a What Sold video from September 11th, I totally get it. You can click off now and I'll see you when I get caught up. But let's go ahead and jump right into the sales. We're going to start by talking about Monday, which was September 11th. I had a good number of Poshmark sales. The first one was this Mountain Hardwear green quarter zip pullover in a size extra large. Mountain Hardwear is a pretty decent outerwear brand. It, retails for a decent amount. It's pretty expensive, and I do think that there is a following for it. It's just not gonna do as well as like a Patagonia or an Arc'teryx. It's okay. So this one sold for $21 with discounted shipping because I did use a Chrome extension called Poshmark VA, which is what I use to share my Poshmark closet so that I don't have to sit there and do it myself because nobody has time for that. And it does things like send out offers to likers for me, and I have it set up so that it'll do that 5 minutes after someone has liked an item. I wish it would even I'm looking at all of my inventory right now that needs to get photographed, and I have just not had time to do it. I wish it would photograph for me. I wish it would just straight up do other things, but even those two things, getting that off my plate is huge. And if you need a tool that will help you get some of these tasks off of your plate as well, I will have a link down in the description below. And if you use my link, you can actually get 20% off of your first month, which I think is a great way to just try it out. They have a 2-week free trial or something as well too. So try it out, see if it's for you. If not, there's literally no risk. You don't even have to use your credit card to sign up for it for that trial, but it definitely saves me a lot of time. And because of that, I made this sale. This is something that I picked up at a garage sale for $4.29. That was my average cost of goods for that garage sale. So my net profit on that was $10.49. The next thing to sell was this American Eagle high-rise A-line rust-colored corduroy skirt in a size 0. So, American Eagle, not usually a big money maker. Size 0 usually means I'm going to be sitting on it for a little bit of time. Yeah, this was not like the big sale I was waiting for. It sold for $10 with discounted shipping because of Poshmark VA. I had $2 into it from a ThredUp bulk rescue box that I got, I want to say 3 years ago. I've been holding on to this for quite some time, so I was very happy to move it along and make my $3.03, which you already know is enough for some McDonald's fries. The next thing to sell was a pair of Carhartt black blended twill work chino pants in a size 31 by 34. I purchased 10 pairs of these at a garage sale over the summer, and they have been selling very consistently. They're not exciting sales. They don't sell right away, but they've been selling consistently because these are the kinds of things that people need in their lives. They need reliable, well-constructed pants for when they're working, and this is exactly that. So these sold for $18. I had $1.50 into them from a garage sale, like I said, from the summer, and so my net profit on those was $12.90. And it was really easy because, you only really needed to take pictures of one pair of them, and you could do a multi-quantity listing if you wanted to. I chose not to go down that route. I actually took individual pictures of each pair of pants because there were slight differences to all of them, but I was able to copy and paste the description and the listing title for all of the listings, and that saved a lot of time. And I didn't have to look up comps for 10 different pairs of pants. They were all the same, so it definitely cut down on the amount of time that it took to list them. So I thought it was worth it, and I would do it again if I found that many of the same kind of thing in bulk. The next thing to sell was a Polo Ralph Lauren striped short sleeve polo shirt in a youth size medium. This I want to say I got from someone at my church, so I don't think I had anything into it, and my net profit on that was $5.03. So we started off Monday rough. It was low dollar sales, low profits, but that evening I did a Poshmark live show. I don't remember if that was my first Poshmark live or if I had done a Poshmark live before that. I think I had done one before that, so I think this was my second. And what I did was I had a bunch of items that I thought they were fine. I thought they were cute. They were things that I was probably going to take to like Plato's Closet if I wasn't able to move them. Yeah, this was my second one. They were kind of like Plato's Closet type things, you know, like things that it just wasn't worth it for me to list because kind of like what you just saw, you know, these things would sell maybe for like $10, $15. And I was like, I don't know if I want to list these things, sit on them forever, and then make like a $3, $4 profit. If that's the case, I don't mind doing a Poshmark live show and, you know, showing the item without having to list it. Even if it only sells for $5, $6, like these were mainly things that I, again, was planning on taking to Plato's anyway. So it's not like I really had anything into them. These were mainly things that had come to me in reseller buyouts. And so I kind of collected those things. And the Poshmark live show actually did pretty well, especially given those parameters, given that it wasn't stuff that I was super excited about. I sold 33 items during that live. And it was for a gross sales amount of $316. My cost of goods for those items was about $74. And so my net profit was $184.78. I would say I was live for about 2 hours. That comes out to about like, you know, $90 an hour. Now, that doesn't include the amount of time that it took for me to ship because that did take some time. But I thought that was okay. And, you know, for those kinds of items, it's definitely not something that I'm opposed to doing more in the future. I had talked so much trash and so much smack about Poshmark lives, and mainly in jest. I didn't mean it seriously. I am one of those people that always wants to try things before I'm gonna completely like shoot it down. But it was one of those things that was getting a lot of attention, and I just didn't have the time to, you know, dip my toes into it yet, and that's why I was comfortable just kind of making fun of it. But now that I have, you know, some experience under my belt, here is kind of what I have learned from the experience, again, from my 2 shows. One, it is hard to make money if you're going to sell things for like that $5 to $6 mark because it's the same fee structure from Poshmark. You know, if something sells for under $15, you're going to get hit with that $2.95 fee. And for anything over $15, it's going to be 20%. And that's a good amount of change. I mean, the amount that Poshmark is taking in fees for items in a live show are definitely more than what you're getting hit with when it comes to Whatnot. So that's one of the reasons I did decide to go back to Whatnot and try live shows over there, is because you're giving them less money in fees, which I really appreciated. Also, at the time of doing this Poshmark live show, you know, there's always that fear of what if something weighs over 5 pounds, because now you have that awkward situation where you have to come back to the buyer and be like, hey, we got to cancel everything and you got to repurchase because I have to create 2 bundles for you because you need 2 shipping labels for these things. And there's a lot of different ways to do that, right? Like you can cancel everything and then just create something called like bundle for blah, 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 and have them buy that for the same price instead of, you know, individually adding each item to the bundle again. Someone on Instagram actually reached out to me and was like, oh my gosh, like I saw somebody actually auction off a new shipping label because someone had purchased so many items that they knew it was going to be over 5 pounds. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to go about it, but as of now, one of the new hacks that they talked about at PoshFest was that you can now create multiple labels for one person in the event that they, you know, purchase a bundle from you that's going to weigh over 5 pounds. The thing that I don't love about that right now is that the buyer has to pay for that additional shipping. Again, on Whatnot, they've really kind of worked out their shipping situation where, you know, you do have to weigh the items. You have to tell Whatnot how much everything weighs, but then they add all of the weights up and then they figure out a way for you to ship the items to the buyer at their expense, but the cheapest way possible to get all of this stuff sent to them. You also can use flat rate boxes on Whatnot. And so if you select that, then you can fit, you know, a decent amount in there and that person only has to pay for one shipping amount. My issue with that is medium flat rate boxes are not that big. So you can't really fit too many clothing articles in it, but their shipping, I think, just makes more sense and is more cost efficient for all parties involved, I feel like, especially for the seller. But yeah, it wasn't a bad experience. And yeah, not everything that I put up for auction on my Posh Live show got a bid, which was fine. I'm not the kind of person that wants to be really pushy and is like, I can't believe this is only selling for this much. Like, I don't like the vibes of those kinds of shows, and I don't know if I even have it in me to like be that pushy. But one thing I noticed is people kept asking, do you have any things that are unlisted? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, they're like, do you have things that, are just like in your death pile that you can show us? And I was like, huh. And what that made me realize is kind of where I had found the most success on Whatnot before I kind of took a long break was people really like a mystery. They like kind of seeing something for the first time with you. On Whatnot, before I took my break, I used to get ThredUp rescue boxes and I would unbox them on the Whatnot show, and if someone liked something that they saw, they told me to run it, and so I would run it. And sometimes things would get bid up real high, especially if I got a really good box. Like, I remember I got a ThredUp box with like a Veronica Beard 100% silk blouse. I got like an Elizabeth and James, not like Kohl's Elizabeth and James, but like good Elizabeth and James. I got like a blazer, like a wool blazer or something. Like, there were things getting bid up like $40, $50, and part of it is just them getting to be a part of that unboxing with you. And that's kind of what they were asking for on the Posh Live. They're like, do you have things around that you can show us that nobody has seen yet? And I'm like, okay, well, like, what are you looking for? And they'd tell me like kind of the category and the size, and I'd look at my racks and see if I had anything, just kind of laying around that I hadn't listed yet. And I was able to sell some things that way. And one thing that I do really like about Posh Live shows as well is how easy it is to incorporate items that are in your closet into your Posh Live show. It's super easy. You just do it with like a click of a button. And the nice thing was that as people would sit in a Posh Live show, they would also very clearly be looking through my closet at the same time. And sometimes people would be like, hey, can you add this item to your Posh Live show? I'd like to purchase it. Like, how much are you willing to let go of it for? And especially if it was something that I had had forever, which for whatever reason, a lot of the people who were asking me to do that, they were like picking out some really stale inventory. I was like, oh my God, I'll sell it to you for like $8. And they were like, okay. So it was a cool mixture at this particular live show of things that I had actually prepared for the live show. Some of which sold, some of which didn't, as well as people, asking me to put things from my Poshmark closet into the Posh show, as well as me just kind of running around in my inventory and pulling random things that people had requested. And as a result, like I said, I made a net profit of $184.78. And you'll see at the end of this video, when I share my numbers with you, that that really was the saving grace of the week. It was me trying something new, putting myself out there, and being really flexible in the moment and saying, okay, you want to see unlisted inventory? Let me see what I got. It was me figuring out in the moment, okay, how do I add things from my closet to this show right now? And I know a lot of people are really scared to jump into things until they know from top to bottom how to do it. But I do kind of firmly believe the best way to learn how to do something is just to jump in. Jump in, figure it out as you go. And if you're like, oh my God, but no one's even here in my show, great. Like, why do you want 200 people in your show when you don't know what you're doing? Work out the kinks with the people who are gonna, hang out with you and be, show a lot of grace towards you and even help you out. I mean, I had people on my show being like, this is what you do. Like, this is how you add things to the tray. And, when you ask people for help, they genuinely want to help. They want to, impart any wisdom that they have to you. So if you've been scared to try a Posh Live show or a Whatnot show or something, this is your sign to just try it. Like, what do you have to lose? I don't recommend bringing your best stuff to your, first Posh Live or your first Whatnot show. I definitely would recommend like kind of doing what I did, like things that you don't really care about that much, you're not super excited about listing them, things that maybe you're just going to donate anyway. Or in the case of a Posh Live show, just kind of go through your closet, pick out maybe the 50 stalest listings that you could see them go for $8 anyway, and you'd be thrilled. Start with those kinds of things. Make sure you're starting things at amounts that you're comfortable with. Make sure you'll at least make your money back, and that way you won't have, a horrible experience. And it's the same with Whatnot. Like, people get really scared. They're like, I don't know. I don't have the personality for it. I'm so scared because it's live and I don't know how to do X, Y, and Z. people show a lot of grace, and you might be saying, well, it's because you're on YouTube and people, know you already, and of course they want to help. But I've sat in on a lot of shows where people do not know what they're doing, and there are people in the comments who are just so kind and helpful. So I don't know. I feel like the best way to learn is just get in there, just do the dang thing, learn as you go, and thank God that there's only like 4 people in your first show to witness it. It's just like YouTube. Everyone says your first YouTube video is always your worst one. That's how it is. Like, you can't expect yourself to be amazing at it when it's your first time, but it does get better. So yeah, it was generally a very good experience. I wouldn't say I'm done doing Poshmark live shows. I'm focusing again on whatnot, but I do really like the idea of bringing in stale listings from my closet, as well as some of these like things that I have laying around that maybe can sell for like, $5-6. And even with that, I'll make a little bit more money than I would if I were to bring that stuff to Plato's. So the next thing to sell on this Monday was over on Mercari. It was this Michael Stars, the original tee, orange batwing shirt. It's like a one of those one size fits most type situations. It sold for $16. This is something that I got from a coworker of mine because we are doing a consignment deal, and she made $5.56 off of that shirt, and I made $7.76. It wasn't like the best sale ever, but it actually sold very quickly. It sold within like a week. But these kinds of simple like tees are not going to go for very much. And then on September 12th, which was a Tuesday, I had a pretty good sale on Poshmark, and I was surprised because I've had these listed for at least a year, I want to say, and then they just kind of sold outright for my full asking price. So it was this pair of UGG Australia Gray Classic 2 Classic Sheepskin Lined Suede Boots in a size 5, which is small. Those sold for $45, and I got them for free from someone who used to go to my church. She is now... oh my God, she's a sophomore in college. And when she was in high school, she started watching my videos about reselling, and she started reselling herself, which I thought was the cutest. But obviously she did not want to take all of her inventory with her to her tiny college dorm many, many states away. And so she asked me if I wanted it. And I was like, oh my gosh, of course, which I thought was so sweet of her to even reach out. And so I made a $36 profit on those boots. I do feel like Uggs like had their moment, and then everyone kind of like cooled off on them. And then Adam Sandler just started wearing them everywhere. And I feel like Uggs are kind of doing pretty well again, even like this older style, like classic Ugg. But yeah, I was very happy to move these for that price, especially given the smaller size. The next thing to sell, these are so silly. They were a pair of Kool-Aid pink tie-dye spell-out logo throwback jogger sweatpants situations. Like, so silly. In a size large. They sold for $20. I had $2 into them. And they were from a reseller who sold me all of her clothing inventory because she realized about a year into reselling that she just really hated selling clothes. So I bought all of her clothes off of her, and I made a net profit on those Kool-Aid joggers of $14. This is the craziest thing that we do, reselling. Like... it's so weird. And then on eBay, I sold this Lululemon Miles Ahead camo print short sleeve activewear shirt in a size 6. I've had this for like a year and a half at least. Like, I don't know. I probably did have it priced too high, but also I was just like, I don't know, like it's tiny. It's not taking up a lot of space in my bins. Like, I'm in no hurry to move it. And it did finally sell for $30. I had $5.65 into it from a garage sale, again, from like 2 years ago. So I made a net profit of $18.33. Let me know in the comments below, how is Lululemon doing for you? Like, does it still sell pretty well? I just got like a ton from a local reseller. She's focusing more on selling vintage clothing. And so a lot of her more kind of like contemporary stuff, when she comes into town, because she actually lives like 3 hours away, but her mom lives here. When she comes into town, she texts me and she'll be like, I'm here. I've got some great stuff if you want to look at it. And it is always great stuff. And she's basically selling it to me at cost, which is amazing. And I have like a tub of Lululemon. A lot of it is a little bit older. So I'm just curious, like, how does Lululemon do for you? Does it only sell well if it's the newer stuff? Can you still move the older stuff? Let me know down in the comments, because I just never was the person that found a lot of Lululemon. It's not very, common in my area. And if, they find out that it's Lululemon, they price it up like crazy. So yeah, I don't have that much experience with it, despite the fact that I have been reselling for quite some time now. The next sale was this pair of Nike skateboarding Zoom Stefan Janoski fly leather RM sneakers in a size 12. I had no idea what any of that meant, but I am deducing that Stefan Janoski is a famous skateboarder. Yes. And yeah, they were just like a very neutral low top sneaker. They sold for $51.99 on eBay, which was great. I feel like the secret to picking up Nike shoes that will sell for a lot is to, you know, pick up ones that don't look like normal Nike shoes. Like if they look kind of weird, if they're like boots or, you know, something like this, like if they're not normal sneakers, some of their normal sneakers do great too, but there's so many of them and there are more garbage ones than there are good ones. But if you want a little bit more of a sure shot, look for kind of the weird looking Nikes, which I thought these were. So my net profit on these was $37.35. I had picked those up from a local consignment store during their birthday sale, so it was a great way to try out, you know, a new style of shoe with very little risk. On Wednesday, which was September 13th, I'm going to start off by telling you about an eBay sale. Now, for full disclosure, this person did open a return, but it's been some time and they haven't shipped it back yet. I think they have until Halloween. So my hope, I'm crossing my fingers, my hope is that this person just never sends the item back. And that is what happens sometimes with eBay returns. Sometimes people will open a return, but they'll never actually go through the process of returning the item to you. And if that's the case, then eBay will just release your funds to you and it's over. Like you don't have to deal with it anymore. The item in question was a new with tags, dress the population, Camden mermaid hem black halter gown in a size extra small. I got this on Whatnot. I paid $31.34 for it. And the reason I did that is because at the same consignment birthday sale that I had talked about, now it wasn't the same one that I got the skateboarding shoes, but at that same consignment store at a previous birthday sale, I had purchased a Dress the Population dress. I think that one was new with tags as well. And it was a more popular style than this one, than the Camden dress. And I was so excited to list it because it was comping for like $150, especially, you know, with it being new with tags. My sister-in-law came over and she'll always just kind of like look through my racks just to kind of see what I have. And she saw it and she was like, oh, this is really cute. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not your size. Because I think that it was like a size medium and she's like a small, extra small. She's like, but I could like hem it. I'm like, but like, where are you going to wear it? It was like a floor length gown. I'm like, where are you going to wear it? Like, we don't have any fancy things. She's like, I have a wedding coming up in San Diego. And I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, I mean, you could just like look on Poshmark for one that'll fit you. Like, this one's not even going to fit you. And she's like, oh, I'll just like get it taken in. I mean, listen, I paid like $3 for that dress. So it's not like I was losing money, except it felt like I was losing money because I knew how much money I could make off of it. You know what I'm saying? But she's my sister-in-law and I love her. So I let her take it. And she did take it in and she did hem it. And my God, did she look amazing in the dress. And now she just has to wear it 800 more times in her lifetime so that I stop being salty with her. And honestly, if anything, it's my fault for not getting it listed sooner. Like it had been sitting on that rack for weeks and she happened to see it because I had procrastinated in getting it listed. So it's my fault. And that's something that I need to remember. I need to remember how horrible it felt to let her walk out of my house with that dress. But like remembering that it was my fault that I didn't have it listed yet. So what I did was I was on Whatnot one night and I was in someone's show and they were auctioning off this new with tags Dress the Population dress. And I was like, oh my God, like I just need one to replace the one that I let walk out the door. So I bid on it and won the item. And once you factor it in the fact that I paid for shipping, it came out to $31.34. It sold for $90. So my profit on that dress was $45.03. You know, I a little bit more than doubled my money. That is, if she doesn't return it. And the reason she wanted to return it is because she said it was too long, which I understand. Being a petite person myself, I'm only 5 feet tall. Most of these kinds of like floor length gowns, they're just too tall for little shorties like myself. So I don't know. I'm just hoping that she doesn't return it, but we'll see what happens. And then on Mercari, I sold a super stale listing. This was a Lily Pulitzer metallic gold leather open toe espadrille wedge in a size 9. This sold for $26. I got this for $5.65 at the same garage sale where I got that Lululemon top. So I have held onto this for an equally ridiculous long amount of time as that Lululemon top. So about 2 years on this. It sold for $26. I made a net profit of $15.77. And it is through the purchasing of about 2 or 3 pairs of Lily Pulitzer shoes from that garage sale that I learned people don't really care for Lily Pulitzer shoes. So, they're just not super worth picking up. And also these were pretty old styles that I had purchased and now are 2 years older because that's how long I've held on to them. On Thursday, which was September 14th, and that was my birthday, and I was rewarded on my birthday with one tremendous sale, but also a return on eBay. So on Poshmark, I sold this Vera Bradley Venetian Paisley wallet wristlet. It was like, it like zipped around. You could put your phone in there maybe. It was a retired pattern. It was really small though. It had actually sold once on eBay, maybe for a little bit more than it did on Poshmark, but not by much. It had sold on eBay. And it got returned because the person was like, this is so small, I can't put anything in it. And I was like, I know, like that's why I included measurements to show you how dinky it was. It sold for $8. I had about $2 into it. This is something that a friend of mine, he gave me a bunch of stuff that him and his wife no longer wore or used. And there were a lot of Vera Bradley bags in the stuff that he gave me. And one thing I learned about Poshmark Live and just about, live shows in general, I think even on Whatnot, Vera Bradley bags can actually do really well. Let me know if that's the case for you. I feel like they take forever to sell when I list them traditionally. And when they do sell, they can sell for a lot. Obviously not this guy because this guy sold for $8. But when they do sell, they can sell for a decent amount. But I sit on them for ages, like I'm talking years, versus if I show them in a live show, they will sell and they'll sell for a decent amount. So I feel like that's kind of the way to go with them if you can get them for cheap enough. Now, here was the great sale of the day. It was like the universe's gift to me on my birthday. It was this New with Tags Mother Superior, the Hustler roller heel high-rise pair of flare jeans in a size 26. Mother is a great denim brand, and it's one that I don't find very often. But when I do, it's usually at a Plato's Closet, and this was no exception. These sold for $130. I did pay up for them. I paid $30 at this Plato's, and I was shocked to my core that that's all Plato's had it priced at, because this Plato's will sometimes price Miss Me or Big Star or what's the other one? Rock Revival jeans. They will price them at like $50, $65. And that's because that's kind of the clientele here. Whereas there's not a lot of people here that know about Mother. Like the people who are shopping at Plato's Closet in my town, they're not buying Mother jeans. They're buying Miss Me and they're buying Rock Revival. And that's why Plato's prices the way it does. And that's why I've learned to look very carefully through the racks at Plato's, because there are a lot of these great pieces by great brands that will get underpriced comparatively because it doesn't fit our area's clientele. And like learning that has been a game changer. So for example, maybe you live somewhere where everyone wears Mother, but nobody really wears Big Star or Miss Me or Rock Revival. And maybe for you, they're pricing those jeans at like $10 or $15. So for you, that's your good pickup, is picking up Rock Revival for $10 at your Plato's Closet, because they can't price it any higher. Otherwise, people in your area won't buy it. Every Plato's is different because every area is different. What's popular in any given town is different. And it's been very interesting seeing what treasures I can find at Plato's. And so my net profit on those jeans was $74, which I was ecstatic about. On eBay, I sold this Calvin Klein black and white print sleeveless career dress in a size 6. This is not the kind of career dress that I would recommend picking up from Calvin Klein. Some of them can do really well, but they need to be good. They need to be really pretty or really powerful looking or just very modern and trendy. This was none of those things. And so it sold for $19 on eBay. I got it from a ThredUp rescue box, but I believe everything that I had listed after unboxing, the majority of that box on Whatnot, at that point, it was all profit. And so my net profit on that dress was $16.62. The next thing that sold was this vintage Christopher & Banks hand-embroidered cardigan sweater in a size large. I thought this was actually very darling. I think I used words like grandma core and, cottage core. I think I used those terms. I'm just like double checking to make sure this is actually the sweater that I think I'm talking about. Because in my notes, I don't have pictures. So I'm just kind of going off of my memory here. This one was something that came to me from the reseller who doesn't like to resell clothes. And so I only had $2 into it, and it gave me a net profit of $10.25, which, for something that I probably would not have picked up myself at the Goodwill, even though I thought it was really cute. I didn't think it would sell for enough for me to, pick it up for like probably $5-6 at a Goodwill. For $2, I'll go ahead and list it. Yeah, this sweater, I'm looking at it right now on my phone. It was really cute. And if I were into like the grandma core style, like I do it to some degree, this is a little much for me, but it was really cute. I could also see like an art teacher wearing it or something. I don't know. But moving on, I did have a return this day. I'm not going to talk about it a lot because the item did get returned to me and I did have to refund the buyer, but it was a White House black market buy. The person just didn't like how it fit. That's what happens. And, when they say that returns happen in threes, I think in the span of like 2 or 3 weeks, I had like 4 or 5 returns on eBay. And it's very disheartening. It sucks, but it's a part of doing business. And the nice thing is, I would say 99% of the time, the item comes back to you in the exact same condition that you shipped it out. And you can just sell it again. And hopefully it'll sell for even more the next time. The next thing to sell was this pair of Circus by Sam Edelman, Luciana blue, white, knotted slip-on mules in a size 10. I got these at my local consignment store during their birthday sale. I actually got 2 pairs of these. One was this blue and white colorway, and the other one is like a beige and white striped colorway. So if you are a size 10 and you like these shoes and you want them in tan and white, I got you. Come check out my Poshmark or eBay or whatever closet store. It's listed everywhere. But these sold for $17 and I made a net profit of $10.80. And then the universe said, listen, on your birthday, we gave you a mother jeans sale that was really great. So Friday the 15th, nothing. You don't need anything. So nothing sold that day. On the 16th of September, which was a Saturday, I sold this pair of Zaya. I still don't know how to say this brand name. It was this pair of pink camo cropped high-rise leggings in a size medium. They sold for $20. I had $4.55 into them from a local consignment store, and so I made a net profit of $11.45. I don't know what it is when at the beginning of the new year, when children tell me their names, when I'm taking attendance for the first time, I listen very closely and I say their names multiple times and I tell them, I'm like, if I'm wrong, please tell me that I'm wrong because I want to make sure that I'm saying your name correctly. And I'm not fluent in Korean, but I can speak it well enough and I can read and write Korean. Again, I'm not like the best reader or the best writer, but I can do it. And the nice thing about the Korean language is that it is phonetical, which means when you see anything from the Korean alphabet, it's always going to make the same sound. Just like in Spanish, when you see the letter A in Spanish, it's always an ah sound. In English, you have to guess it's an ah, like English is so annoying. But Korean, just like Spanish, is phonetical. And so I would go so far as to, kids would tell me their names, and I would like write out, parts of their name using Korean so that I could phonetically make sure that I remembered how to say it the next day. And I just made a big deal out of it because I wanted to make sure that I'm calling kids by their name. And I'd also ask them, like, is that what you like to be called? Do you have a nickname? Like, what do you want me to call you? And they would tell me and I would write it down and I'd memorize it as quickly as I could. I cannot, however, do that when it comes to brand names. I don't know what it is. Like, you guys will sometimes write out, again, phonetically for me in the comments, how to pronounce brand names. And I can't put the same level of like focus and care and attention to it. Even when people will tell me how to pronounce brand names to my face, I feel like I am like Chris Pratt's character, Andy Dwyer, in Parks and Rec.
On the back of it is a key taped to it, and then that opens my bottom drawer in my desk. Get What's happening? I'm sorry, I lost. He got bored in the middle of it. Okay, I lost.
Like, I just can't. I can't do it. I can't focus. Like, the information is just like, it doesn't even go in the ear and out the other. It's just I just immediately start losing focus. I don't know what it is. So the makers of this brand, I'm so sorry, I will never say it correctly. On Sunday, which was September 17th, I sold one more Calvin Klein dress. This was also black and white, and it was also not super cute, but it was in a size 8. It sold for $15. I had 80 cents into it from a local consignment store, the same local consignment store that does the birthday sales, but this was from way back when, during shelter in place, during COVID, when businesses were not allowed to open their doors. I shopped by myself in their storage unit, and they let me purchase big black garbage bags filled with clothes for $50. And so it came out to about 80 cents a piece. But that was like, what is that, like 3-4 years ago at this point? So I've had this dress for like 4 years, and I finally made my net profit of $11.20 on it. So, it was not the most lucrative week. The Posh Live show did really help. On Poshmark, if you include the Posh Live show, I sold 43 items. Now, without it, I'd sold 10, but that was for a gross sales amount of $613. When you factor in fees and shipping discounts, that total drops to $482.44. Cost of goods for those 43 items was $121.14, and so my net profit on Poshmark was $361.30. On eBay, I sold 6 items, and that was for a gross sales amount of $223.99. When you factor in eBay's fees, that total drops to $185.39. My cost of goods for those 6 items was $47.01, and so my net profit for the week was $138.38. I sold 2 things on Mercari for a total of $42, and Mercari's fees are pretty low, so the amount after fees was $35.05. My cost of goods for those 2 items was $11.21, and my net profit for the week was $23.84. So in total, I sold 51 items. My gross sales amount was $878.99. My total, once you factor in fees and shipping, dropped to $702.88. My cost of goods was $179.36 for all of those items, and so my net profit for the week was $523.52. Last week, I had earned $274, and so I almost doubled that, and the way that I did that, I think, was by doing that Posh Life sale. The goal really kind of moving forward, at least until the end of the year, is to do at least one live show a week. Right now, I'm committing to do those on Whatnot, and that's because I am partnering with them. If you want to be a part of one of my Whatnot shows, basically for the rest of the year, I'm going to be unboxing a reseller buyout, and she had some good stuff. The last time that I did the reseller unboxing, there was a lot of new with tags Torrid, including Torrid shoes that were new with tags. But yeah, it's, there's a lot of stuff, and I don't know what's in there because I'm doing it live in front of you guys. But I've been very pleased. If I were just kind of listing those things traditionally on my own, I would have been fine. I would have been happy with the things that I got. And the last show, it was really funny because there were all of these, first of all, it was very plus size heavy. And I don't know if it's because the bins that I was opening and pulling from, maybe those were her plus size bins. I don't know. But there were all these crazy pajama dresses, the coziest, softest, pajama things, but they were just these huge oversized pajama dresses with hoods and pockets, and I was who sleeps in these things? And those things I think went for the most. You never know what's going to happen during a live show, and they're really fun. So if you want to hang out, I do have my link down in the description below, and you get $15 of Whatnot credit just for signing up, and you don't even have to use it when you're shopping with me. You can use it shopping with anyone else. But yeah, I am going to be going live every Monday evening at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, unless I have something for work or something. But I have a bunch of shows preloaded in my Whatnot profile already, so you can go there, check them out, bookmark my shows. But it's a good time, and I always appreciate anyone who comes out and hangs out. So that was it for the week. I appreciate you guys so much. I hope you are having a wonderful quarter 4 and able to put a little bit more time and effort and energy into your reselling business than I am. But even if not, I hope you're enjoying life and enjoying the fall. Oh my God, I cannot handle how beautiful it is outside right now with the leaves changing. It is my favorite season as far as what it looks like outside, and the weather has been gorgeous. So I don't know, even though my numbers are pretty stinky overall, I am thoroughly enjoying life and thankful that I get to make more content for you guys too now that things have slowed down a little bit. So thank you so much for hanging out. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!